okay, we need to talk. Because this situation, it just keeps getting messier. And every time you think you've wrapped your head around it, something new drops and you're like, wait, what? So let's start here, because this is where everything really shifts. At first, it just seemed like another reality TV scandal, right? Some drama, some rumors, a little chaos behind the scenes. But then that video came out, and suddenly this wasn't just reality TV messy anymore. It was serious, like career ending, show canceling, serious. And the wildest part is, it's starting to sound like people behind the scenes may have actually seen this coming, but we'll get to that.
I don't know if they would necessarily do a reunion or if there's one in the works right now, because my understanding is hit the fan over there and everything's on pause. There's no filming, everything's down until they figure out what's going on. And I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, because I think people know about it now, but I just hope they figure this stuff out, because they're all great. Love them so much. And I would love to co-host, but I think that you guys would know, like, it would probably be too distracting, because I would be sitting there crying and be overwhelmed and wouldn't know who to look at and just feel kind of out of place.
So here's the context. Taylor Frankie Paul was gearing up for a huge moment. Like, massive. Her season of The Bachelorette was literally about to air. Everything was lined up. Promo was rolling. Press was happening. The whole machine was in motion. And then, overnight, boom, canceled. Just like that. And not in a, we're postponing this while we figure things out kind of way. No. Which already tells you how serious things must have gotten behind closed doors. Because networks do not make that kind of decision unless they absolutely have no choice. Now, here's where things start to feel a little eerie. Because while the public was just starting to understand what really went down in that 2023 incident, it turns out some of the other women in her circle, especially the Mom Talk group, had already been raising concerns, like weeks ago. Apparently, earlier this month, there was a Zoom call. Not a casual catch-up, not a quick check-in, a legit meeting with producers and executives. Big names were on it, and from what's being reported, the vibe? Not great. The women were basically sitting there saying, we're not comfortable, and not in a vague, PR-safe way. In a very real, very serious way. They were worried about their reputations, their careers, the show itself, and, more importantly, what was tied to Taylor. Now imagine being on that call. You're trying to explain to executives that there are videos out there, disturbing ones, and instead of panic or urgency, the response is kind of detached. Like, we don't really want to know too much. I'm sorry, what? That part is honestly one of the most shocking details, because it suggests that, at least in that moment, there was still this willingness to just keep things moving, keep filming, keep the show alive. And it makes you wonder, how far would this have gone if that video never became public? Because let's be real, networks don't pull a major show days before airing unless something crosses a very clear line. And clearly, something did. Now, while all of this is unfolding, the rest of the cast stayed mostly silent, which honestly makes sense. This is one of those situations where anything you say can come back on you. But then, two voices did speak up: Miranda and Illa.
You guys, TMZ just released this video of Taylor Frankie Paul throwing a chair at Dakota while her daughter was in the room, and it's not looking good for her at all. I am going to show you the video. It is extremely disturbing, so let this be your warning.
Physical abuse. Yeah. Yeah. See, Taylor, this is all you do. It's the only thing you know how to do. Holy
It's okay. I don't give a
Let me go. Stop. Dude, leave me alone. Oh my gosh. Your daughter is right here. Oh my gosh. Oh my.
And at this point, I'm convinced that The Bachelorette is not going to air anymore. I actually think that ABC would make a horrible mistake if they did. Like, they would probably get a lot of backlash, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Cinnabon already cut ties with her. They pulled their sponsorship out. But let that be her wake-up call, because if I lost the Cinnabon sponsorship, I would change my whole life around after.
And their statements were very deliberate, very clear. They both condemned any form of domestic violence and emphasized concern for the children involved, which, of course, is exactly what you'd expect them to say. But the timing, that's where it gets interesting, because right now, there are rumors swirling that producers are scrambling to pivot fast. And one of the ideas being floated is a double Bachelorette season starring Miranda and Illa. I mean, can you imagine? It honestly feels like a full rebrand attempt. Like, okay, this blew up. How do we fix the narrative? And if that's the case, their statements start to feel a little strategic too. Not fake, but possibly encouraged, because if they're about to become the new faces of the franchise, the very first question they'd get is, where do you stand on everything that just happened? So getting ahead of it makes sense. Still, it adds another layer to everything. Not fake, but possibly encouraged, because if they're about to become the new faces of the franchise, the very first question they'd get is, where do you stand on everything that just happened? So getting ahead of it makes sense. Still, it adds another layer to everything. Like, really struggling. There were conversations about divorce, concerns about money, fears about how things would play out legally. It was heavy. But it also felt like she was stuck, like she wanted out, but couldn't quite take that final step. And then out of nowhere, her husband files for divorce. Not her, him, which completely flips the narrative. Now people are wondering, did he beat her to it? Was this a control move? Was it strategic? There are even rumors she was planning to go public with her side of things, and this might have been a way to get ahead of that. We don't know for sure, but the timing is definitely suspicious. And honestly, a lot of fans are relieved for her, because based on what we saw, that relationship didn't exactly look healthy. So while it's messy, there's also this underlying feeling that maybe this is actually a fresh start for her. But going back to the main situation, because it doesn't stop there, after that February altercation between Taylor and Dakota, things escalated quickly on the legal side. Dakota filed for a restraining order, and not only was it granted, but he also got temporary custody of their son, which is huge. Courts don't make decisions like that lightly, and according to reports, Taylor currently isn't allowed to see her son until their court date in April. There's a strict distance rule in place, no visitation, nothing. And that alone tells you how serious this has become. At this point, this isn't about TV or public image anymore. It's real life, real consequences, and it's affecting more than just headlines. But then, because this story genuinely does not know how to slow down, there's another twist. Doug, remember him? The guy she allegedly got engaged to during filming? Yeah, apparently they've been spotted together again recently, and not in a random, coincidental way, like actually showing up to the same place together. At first, people thought maybe it was old footage or something pulled from drafts, but no, it's been confirmed as current. Which raises so many questions. Like, why now? If they broke things off in January, and everything with Dakota escalated in February, what exactly is happening in March? Was it for filming? Was it personal? Was it closure? We honestly don't know. And the frustrating part is, we might never know, because whatever they were filming likely won't ever see the light of day now that the season is canceled. And I'm not even kidding. This whole situation feels like a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Now, when you zoom out, the bigger question is what happens next. Because this isn't just about one person anymore. It's affecting an entire franchise. The Bachelor universe is in a weird spot right now. They had a season ready to go, and now it's gone. Cast members are dealing with personal situations, fans are questioning everything, and producers are scrambling behind the scenes. So, do they move forward with new leads? Do they pause everything? Do they try to quietly pivot and distance themselves from all of this? And what about the mom talk show? Can it continue without Taylor? Probably, but will it feel the same? That's another question. And will the rest of the cast even want to keep going after everything that's happened, especially when they already raised concerns once and didn't feel fully heard? Because at that point, trust starts to break, and once that happens, it's hard to rebuild. At the end of the day, this whole situation feels like a turning point, not just for the people involved, but for reality TV in general, because audiences are paying attention differently now. Things that might have been brushed off before aren't anymore. And networks can't just wait and see when serious allegations are involved. So yeah, this is still unfolding. There are still so many unanswered questions, and honestly, it it doesn't feel like we're anywhere near the final chapter. But one thing is clear, this changed everything. And whatever comes next is probably going to look very, very different. So I need to know what you think. Do you believe the show can recover from this? Do you think Miranda and Isla should take over? And what do you think is really going on behind the scenes that we're not being told yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'm telling you, I read everything and you guys always catch details I miss. All right, I'll see you in the next one.